Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today. I'm Jamie. That's Dave. That's Adam. We're doing our segment now that we call Like 'em, Don't Love 'em. Guys that are probably going to be in your lineup that we have ranked in certain spots, but we're a little bit concerned about either the circumstances, the matchup, maybe a guy coming off an injury, or just a little bit of a fear that they might disappoint you based on some expectations. So let's start with a guy that we talked about a little bit earlier in the show. Adam, you're concerned about Saquon Barkley coming back, most likely, that's the expectation, after the extended absence with an ankle injury, taking on a Tampa Bay defense that has been good against the run, but we know they're missing one of their key run stoppers in Vita Vea. So what's the expectations? Give me a stat line for Saquon Barkley.
Well, it reminds me a lot of what I said about Michael Carter last week going up against the Bills. I said you have to have that passing downs work. You have to have the catches, the passing game production. So his stat line was 82 total yards, 4 catches. And I think you could get something similar. I think you're going to get about 14 carries for Barkley, which should be about 52 yards. Then you've got the passing down stuff. Now, hopefully he can break a big one, but I think you need 4 or 5 catches, and you can hope for 40 yards, 50 yards, something like that. And then you can get close to 100 total yards. That'd be great. If he scores a touchdown like Michael Carter did last week, then none of this will matter. But I think that's going to be difficult for the Giants. I just think the rushing stat line is 14 carries for 52 yards. I guarantee it. What are you going to get out of the passing game? That's what we'll see. But he hasn't run that well this year. And this is still a great run defense, even without Vita Vea. And he's not going to get his full snap share according to what the Giants coaches have been saying. So I just don't know how I could have that much faith in him.
Dave, you're the high guy on Barkley. Why are you so confident?
Because I think that the Giants know that they've got to get Saquon Barkley going, and they never said that it's going to be a 50-50 split between him and another running back. They just said that they were going to use multiple running backs. Saquon still figures to be the lead guy, and I don't necessarily disagree about the 14 carries thing, and he might even get less than 52 yards if he has 14 carries against the Bucs. But we saw it in weeks 3 and 4 when they really started to let him go, at least 5 catches in each of those games. I think we can count on that, and I think it makes sense, especially without Sterling Shepard there, that the Giants lean on Saquon in the passing game. Just only seems like a common opportunity for them against Tampa Bay, a team that they're probably going to be trailing against, to lean on Saquon Barkley out of the backfield in a full PPR league. I think that means he has a safe floor, probably more of a top 15 running back than a top 13 running back like I have him ranked, but still somebody that I think fantasy managers aren't going to get away from.
I guess the one thing I would say is if it goes to the way you're describing it, that they're chasing points, to what extent are they going to keep Barkley out there to make sure he's healthy rest of season? So
if it's a blowout, then that's true.
Right. So that I think you have to factor in if you think chasing score, because I'm expecting the Tampa Bay offense, after what we've seen the last few weeks, to come out and put up a big number against the Giants, who could be without Logan Ryan, who was sent home after a positive test for COVID-19. So we'll see what happens there in terms of Ryan's status on the defensive side of the ball. Next guy we're looking at here is Amari Cooper. So Dave, he's a guy you like, but you don't necessarily love.
I'm reluctant to start him because he's not the top target anymore in Dallas. I think we've all figured that out, that it's now CeeDee Lamb is the main guy, and Dak seems to have full confidence in CeeDee Lamb, and that means that he's not going to be throwing as much, or certainly almost as much, as he does to Lamb with Cooper. And when you get inside the 5, Cooper's barely even on the field. He's playing less than 40% of the snaps when they're inside the 5. I think that this is going to be a mess for Amari Cooper moving forward, where he's going to be a low-end number 2 fantasy wide receiver in games where they're expected to score a lot of points. Now, imagine a game like last week. You wouldn't, if that game was happening again this week against Atlanta, you wouldn't want to start Amari Cooper in that matchup because you'd figure the Cowboys wouldn't put up as many points as they would in a game against Kansas City, and you would have been right. So I like him as a top 20 wide receiver this week, right around this range. He's a little lower for me, actually. Top 24 wide receiver, but it's because it's expected to be a shootout. If it wasn't expected to be a shootout, Cooper would be closer to 30.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a big scoring game between the Chiefs and the Cowboys. Chiefs figuring out their offense last week. Cowboys obviously are going to put up some points as well. Vegas is expecting this to be high scoring. I think the last time I saw the projected total was 56. So if we get north of 50, maybe north of 60, I'm sure Amari Cooper will have some level of production. So hopefully this is a big opportunity for him to bounce back after what's been some struggles. Jalen Hurts is a guy that concerns me a little bit. As we've seen, it's been a struggle for him as a fantasy quarterback. The Eagles have been playing much better as a team. They've been running the ball a lot better. 22 fantasy points last week, but as we know, he's not throwing the ball very much. 23 pass attempts or less each of his last 3 games. The rushing has been there to sort of keep his floor pretty safe, but I'm hoping that this is going to be a game where they do have to throw the ball a little bit more. The concern would be is, okay, we know that they're not going to run the ball with a lot of success against the Saints because no team does, but will the Saints put up enough points that Jalen Hurts has to throw to a certain level that they're going to get, that we're going to get the type of fantasy production that we're used to getting from Jalen Hurts? So he's barely a top 12 quarterback for me. Adam, where do you come out on Jalen Hurts this week?
I like him. I do think that this game will be competitive, and he'll have to throw because they won't be able to run the ball the way they've been running the ball. And his rushing numbers are way up, actually, in these last 3 games where they've been running the ball a lot more. So either the rushing numbers stay up, and hopefully he gets in the end zone. He's been handing the ball off inside the 5-yard line so much. Or the rushing numbers come down a little bit, but the passing numbers go back up, and he does have that nice safe floor. What worries me about him is that he's just not that great of a quarterback, but he's starting to play a little bit better. I think Goddard's going to play. I like him. I'm not really struggling starting him. I'm going to start him over Derek Carr. I have him in a few leagues, and the one decision I have to make every week in our podcast league is Carr versus Hurts, and I'm going with Jalen Hurts.
Makes sense there in terms of the upside, but just want to see it. It's been a while since we've seen the upside of Jalen Hurts.